A lot of people just, let's just hire somebody, let's just hire somebody. But what you can be doing, if you're hiring people that are not engaged, you're actually causing more harm than good.
Warning: Damian Andrews' growing revenue and profit, if implemented, will put more money in your pocket. Please use with caution.
Damien Andrews here for Growing Revenue and Profit. And today we're talking about how a company's culture can directly and positively impact on its revenue growth and profitability. And there's a couple of key things here that we need to look at. And the culture makes a massive, massive difference in how a company will perform, largely because companies don't operate in isolation of people. We haven't got to a stage yet where the Terminators have taken over the world and companies operate that way. We Everything that happens with an organization ultimately at the end of the day comes down to being done by people. And this is where it's really important, one, to foster employee engagement. And this is where you really need people to be engaged with the mission of the company. And I know that sounds cliche, and it is cliche. It's cliche for a reason. The question is, how do you do that? How do you get people to be engaged in the organization? One of the things that you can do is you need to, in the employment process, set things up so that when you're hiring people, you're actually testing to see whether their character and their values are aligned with your organization's values. And it might sound obvious, but I'm yet to see an organization that I haven't worked with that actually does this really, really well. And part of that process is knowing, firstly, what are the organization's values. Um, it's really, really important to have that set out, and it takes a little bit of time up front. It's not a lot of time, but it does take some time. And I think that's part of the reason why it's not done so much, is it does take a little bit of time up front, but also too, it's a way of qualifying, and you're actually cutting out people, which in this environment where there's a struggle to find workforce, a lot of people just, let's just hire somebody, let's just hire somebody. But what you can be doing, if you're hiring people that are not engaged, you're actually causing more harm than good. And this is where it's really, really important to understand what are your values and have a process to understand what are the people that you're hiring's values. If they're in alignment, the employees are going to love being and working with you because their mission, both your missions are connected, that you're working together. And this is how that will have a significant impact on your revenue and profit, is having employees that are engaged because you're connecting at a deep fundamental level on your values, and values are very highly important. The other thing that you want to be doing is really focus on the customer experience. And again, cliche, focus on the customer experience, but how do you engage your employees so that they engage with the customers in a consistent way? And this is really, really important. What's often missing is there'll be a policy, yes, be nice, all that kind of thing. But what you want is that consistent engagement so that people get the same experience each and every time. They know what to expect. They know that they're going to get this experience, and the worst situation is where they get a really, really good experience. And then when they come back, they don't get that same level of engagement, that same warm, fuzzy feeling from the people in your organization. And this is where it's really, really important, because companies that employ this strategy of creating that consistent customer experience leave behind companies that don't, because they don't have to work so hard to attract new customers all the time, because so many customers are coming back and getting that repeat experience. A basic example could be if you're making coffee and you don't make it the same way so it tastes the same. So when someone comes, they like the coffee, that's great. They come back a few times, yep, that's great. Then all of a sudden, they don't get that same experience. It's worse when it happens straight away. They get an experience, they like it, they come back and it was different. You haven't formed a relationship, or you haven't had enough experiences to form that relationship of habit where they consistently come back. If they've been coming, 20 or 30 times and then they have a bad experience, or one that's not consistent, I should say, then they're likely to go, oh, that might be just a bad day or something like that. And they come back the next time and they're back to what they're expecting. That's usually forgiven and customers keep coming back. So this is where it's really, really critical to have a process in place so that you can actually create these consistent customer experiences. So there's two takeaways from this episode. We're talking about fostering employee engagement, which is about understanding your values, the organization's values, and the employees' values, and having a process where you employ people that have an alignment between your values and their values, because that will give you that culture of people really loving to be there because you connect on such a deeper level. And the other thing is creating that consistent customer experience. So yes, we want to focus on the customers feeling good, but you want that consistency. It's really, really important to have everybody doing things consistently so the customer builds that relationship at an unconscious level where they know what they're going to expect, they know what they're going to get, and they keep coming back because that's what they're expecting. This is Damien Andrews for Growing Revenue and Profit.